You're listening to the iRacers Lounge podcast, where we discuss everything iRacing in a casual setting. Enjoy.
Welcome to the iRacers Lounge. I'm your host, Mike Ellis. iRacers Lounge is a podcast for the iRacer where we talk all things iRacing in a casual setting. Joining me are the usual characters, David Hall.
Yo.
Hey, Greg Hectus.
What's up, everybody?
Welcome. And special guest, John Curley.
Hey, iRacers.
On the show today, we'll check out the super high speeds of the first ever Grand Prix Series race on an oval track. We'll check out a sim racer making a big splash in real world racing and debut the pros and cons of visible iRatings.
And remember, you can follow along with us on your PC or mobile device in real time as you listen to the show and see for yourself all of the great topics and products that we'll discuss by visiting iRacersLounge.com, selecting show notes. We hope to see you there. All right, that was a really nice interview with John. Now let's go ahead and jump into the topics now, kicking it off with the GP Turn Racing Series. In Thursday's third round of the 23 Grand Prix Turn Racing iRacing Series, it was the first of a kind, as some of the top open-wheel road racers took on an oval race in the Dallara I-1 or IR-01, more affectionately known as the Jet Car. They raced at Texas Motor Speedway. They utilized the new oval-centric package developed for the naturally aspirated 3.0-liter V10 open-wheel racing machine, with 25 drivers entered and a chance to score a win like no other in series history.
This was crazy. I saw the beginning of this race. I didn't get to see the whole thing. But it's like IndyCar at Texas on steroids, because it's like a third faster than an IndyCar or something. It's crazy how fast they're going around there. It's just really high pitched, super fast. I mean, I want to participate. That looks so much fun.
They're running 21-second lap times there.
That's what I'm saying, is visually it looks insane. It looks like every second you can't breathe and you're about to wreck and you're just holding on for dear life kind of look.
It's a good thing there's not some sci-fi way to actually simulate real G-forces, because they wouldn't stay conscious.
Good point. You know, when I saw this race, David, at Texas, it reminded me of the real kart series that went to Texas and actually had to cancel the race due to too much G-forces. They were kind of having blackout problems during the practice laps.
I just think it's awesome that we've added this series in here where it's road and oval, and that's, this car is such a cool car for this type of racing.
I like that you don't have the regular road guy that he's going in here to take it, but you throw in this Texas oval, to mix things up, to kind of even the playing field, so to speak. I mean, I like it. I like that you have a mix.
So I noticed it shows in the that it was a photo finish as well.
Yeah, if you look at the margin of difference, 0.017 to second and only 0.034 to third, and then fourth only 0.071. So the top four within 0.07.
Well,
you can't get away from each other. It was like a pack race. That's why it was so breathtaking. The leader can't get away.
Well, while we're talking official championship series, Greg, tell us about this new South American series coming up.
Yeah, so The South American Esports Championship. Brazil will host its first edition of the South American Esports Championship. The competition will be held on November 2nd during the week of the Sao Paulo Formula One Grand Prix, and will run on iRacing using the FIA F4. That's the car you run, right, Mike?
Yeah, that's the car I've been running this season and just choking in. But yeah, it's cool to see they're using the same car and they're using iRacing.
I wonder if this has got to do, like, obviously this is kind of helps out with the FIA stuff being stepped in here, and these are things that we're getting with that partnership, right?
I think so. I mean, normally you would think, oh, they're at an F1 race, they're going to use F1 console game, for something like this. But no, instead, they decided to use iRacing, and I'm sure it has something to do with the partnership with the FIA.
Well, as far as hosting, are they actually hosting this at the track, or is this just kind of an online event that's coordinated with it?
No, I think it's an in-person deal. That's the way I read it. There is an article here from the FIA.
Is it the Max's or Max Arena is where it's being held? Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a place, they identify a place where it actually is. It said each motorsports confederation in South America will be able to choose its criteria to determine the finalist, of which there will be 11 in Sao Paulo in person to define the champion.
That's really cool.
So do these guys? They going to have to bring in their own rigs, or are they going to supply those for these drivers?
It's hard to say.
I would guess it's probably, what did they say, 11 drivers? So there's probably 11 generic rigs. They're all the same.
I would guess it, yeah.
Whatever,
Something like that.
whatever company's sponsoring it, maybe.
Might also depend on how far they're having to travel. Are these all international drivers, or are they local Brazilians? Because our guys all the championship drivers try to at least get a rig exactly like theirs in the Coke Series?
Yeah, I think this is limited to South America countries only, though.
Well, it's good to see that we get more of these events, because the more the events and more publicity means, better racing and better product.
I'd like to see this a North America esports championship like this from the FIA. I mean, let's spread the love.
This is where we're hurting because of the IndyCar deal.
It's in the F4 car. I mean, I don't know. I mean, we have the F1 race at Las Vegas. It'd be a perfect place to have the event in Vegas. I mean, you could pick one of the casino floors and move out some of the machines and set up some rigs or something, and it would be perfect.
I have a feeling that the real estate would be too expensive to even run an event like this. The way they're charging stuff for that Vegas weekend.
And it's definitely on the high side of the price. So the next topic we got up, though, is basically great motorsports quotes. It's a tweet from iRacing asking, what are some of the best motorsports quotes? And I think we probably all know that if you ain't first, you're last.
That's a good one. I posted one, and I thought we would read it out loud. I put, quote, auto racing, bullfighting, and mountain climbing are the only real sports. All the others are games. Ernest Hemingway.
The netcode one. So sorry, netcode. That's more of a gaming quote.
Kevin King says, you block, you pay.
Robbins Racing.
I only meant to rattle his cage.
Gary Godso says, you don't know what Indy means. Al Unser Jr. in Victory Lane. Oh, this is a good one. Nicholas Patty says, "Racing is life. Everything before or after is just waiting."
You win some, you lose some. That's funny.
The most infamous quote probably is, "Let's all take it easy in turn one."
That's more gaming. That's more centric for simulation or gaming.
Yeah, because anytime that happens, everybody goes nuts and doesn't take it easy in turn one.
No, it's always going to be a 3 wide.
Now, when I was thinking about getting some custom artwork in my office to do with racing, my initial idea was to get a motorsports quote, like printed on a sign and hang it on the wall. That was my initial plan. I ended up doing something different, but I think this is a great idea, just to see what the quotes are, and I had fun with it anyway. But I'm trying to figure out which one would I pick to actually stick on the wall. I don't know.
Well, you can check the tweet out. It's got a ton of replies, 423. We're going to move on. Next thing, we have a highlight video, and it's the Season 4 build highlight.
Pretty cool. This is like they did every season recently, where they put out a video that is basically a visual release notes. It basically shows you in a quick 5-minute video everything that's included in the build of substance, and there's video to go along with it. They have text on the screen describing what the update is, kind of thing. So real easy to digest, certainly easier to look at than reading release notes.
Go to 311 or about 310 on the video and watch this damage model crash.
Oh, wow. The whole engine went up in the air, it looked like there.
There's really no car left there, just about.
Yeah, the damage model's really come along, hasn't it? I can remember not too long ago, we didn't have damage.
Well, I think the detail that they've got now is a significant improvement over the old days.
I wonder if things like what's that? If there's that, is it BGM or something, that one program on Steam that simulates crashes and stuff like that. I wonder if there's anything behind that can help them out figuring how to smash these cars up.
All right, is this next news item actually a little outdated now?
It is. So let's talk about this in conjunction with the release earlier today.
So this one is that sources have indicated that as of 9:30, there's it's just the termination date of the NASCAR and motorsports game announcement. However, there's no new license announcement as of yet, and that's the part that's out of date. But they think Game Mill, EA, and iRacing and 2K all have inquired about the NASCAR license, and they think either Game Mill Entertainment or iRacing are the front runners. And we saw it come out today.
It's iRacing. They want it, or they bought it. John, I think you said $6 million. I don't know where you got that number, but
well, so I went and looked at some SEC filings, and it looks like it's about a $6 million deal. $500,000 now, or excuse me, $5 million now, and then a couple of payments of $500,000 each in the future. So they paid a price for it, but they got it.
Wow. Do you think iRacing has $5 million sitting in the bank?
Yes.
Or they had to borrow that?
They got a little bit less if David pulls a subscription away.
Well, I think they'll make it up when they create the games in 2025.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm
absolutely.
pretty sure that check will be fully compensated when if they have anywhere close to what they do on the sim, um, putting their efforts into a console game. You'll sell on the Xbox and the PlayStation, for a console type game that's NASCAR based.
Well, I think, yeah, that's where the money's going to be. I mean, there are going to be a lot of buyers for that at the console level.
Do you think that I was thinking about this earlier. Do you think if they're gonna have this game coming out in, say, 2025, do you think they go back to having a console championship like they did back, a couple years ago, where they had a console champion for the NASCAR as well? That they were the events were being held at the tracks.
Yeah, I would like that. I think that's good. I mean, Nick Nebon also did a video today about this news, and he really emphasized this is good for the iRacing community because it's going to bring in new people, new blood. It's going to increase how many drivers are on track. It's going to be a path to get new drivers into iRacing. They start in console, they get the bug, they get the competitive spirit, then they get into the PC version. Now some people, and one thing Nick Nebon said in his video, people are confused already. This is not iRacing on console. This is not iRacing on console. This is NASCAR on console. Okay. This is like the World of Outlaws game that Monster put out earlier, but NASCAR. And so some people were already confusing that.
Well, they're gonna make the version of like like obviously they're gonna probably work with NASCAR and create a game that probably has a career mode, maybe like a franchise mode, like in some of the things where you build a race team, and obviously they're gonna have all the drivers' licenses and track licenses and team licenses, so it's gonna be more tailored to an experience where you don't have to be online, but it'll probably have a multiplayer, component to it. But there's also, you want to go and race the Daytona 500 against AI. They're going to use their knowledge of the base that they've used iRacing to create AI, and they could, it's going to translate over into building this game.
I think what I like about this is it's full circle now. The people that developed the NASCAR games that were known to be the best ones, NASCAR '03 and so forth, that group, guess what? That's the group that's in iRacing right now. They've put that group back together in iRacing. These guys have been in the business a long time, and now they got the license. They're going to do it again, and it's going to be so good, I think.
Do you think, I don't know if you guys saw my comment later on in the day about this, but do you think if what John was saying there was like the $6 million is part of the thing, or the payment towards it? Do you think that funds to finish is enough funds to finish the IndyCar game for them, so that they actually put something out for motorsports?
Yeah,
That,
that's a
that
good point.
that's good speculation, definitely.
And we have some quotes from the CEO of Motorsports Game on the show here, that he basically says as much. He says we're going to refocus on the titles that we have already deep into development and so forth. So I want to read a quote from Mr. Tony Gardner, the president of iRacing. Quote, when we were approached with the option to acquire the license for the simulation style NASCAR console game, which was the console game and franchise that we were dreaming about doing, it was an opportunity we could not pass up. Having the ability to build a NASCAR console game is a privilege we promise to execute with the utmost care. We look forward to working diligently with NASCAR industry stakeholders to deliver a product that provides an amazing experience for the gaming community and NASCAR fans worldwide.
Do you think at some point with this, merger as well, or not merger, but purchase, that if this game, obviously the motorsports is still gonna develop their IndyCar game, but do you think if this works out, do you think that iRacing could go after the IndyCar license, say for, I don't know how long obviously we don't know how long the contract for motorsports is for the IndyCar to make their games, but, um, Do you think maybe they bid on it and afterwards, if this is a success, and maybe they take over the rights to the IndyCar and they get sold to them?
Well,
Well,
I
I
think
think
it all
Indy.
plays out. How are they gonna MSG? Are they gonna put out a game or not? If they're gonna flounder and waste that 5 million and not get something out, then yeah, you're probably right.
Well, I think IndyCar has to look at that pretty hard because if what iRacing does is a big success, IndyCar has to think, maybe we need to go another route.
Well, yeah, like
And
you're right, John.
and we don't even know. I mean, we're still all pretty skeptical on whether Motorsports Games will develop that IndyCar racing sim. I don't think it's a done deal.
I think the other thing that they have going for it, so they've announced, say, 2025, that they're going to have a game coming out. I hope iRacing, when they do have this 2020 game, it's the beginning of the season. I hate when like all the other sports games come out at the beginning of their season, so that you can progress through a season with this the what's going on in live time. But seemed to be with racing games, it's always was at the end of the season you were getting them out, or mid season, so that you're already behind on your favorite season of watching it. So I'm just hoping that that 2025 date is like early 2025, so that you're enjoying it through that whole year and not getting it after the season's done, or 3/4 of the way through or something. But they also get the um, if IndyCar does release, or they do in Motorsports does release that IndyCar game in 2024, they do get to see if it flops, and if there's anything in that game that isn't great, or that they could use, maybe they can that transfers over into what iRacing uses in 2025 to have a better NASCAR game too.
Look, if they just copy what they've done in World of Outlaw game, the format, they're gonna hit gold. Um, that was what Nick Nebon mentioned. The other thing he mentioned too, I want to point out, when they did the World of Outlaw, the little graphic that you see here that promotes this, when they did the World of Outlaw game, it said Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo Switch. But this one has those three and Steam. Steam. Now, Steam is for PC games. So Nick is speculating that there'll be some kind of PC demo or PC version of this, perhaps.
Which is normal. They had all the NASCAR heat games that were coming out there. They had PC versions as well. So um, it doesn't just keep it to the consoles. It targets the whole market, so they get the full share of the pie there, right?
Yeah, they're going to get the NASCAR heat people, the ignition people. I mean, those folks are all going to go to the iRacing version of this, and it's going to grow. It's going to grow fast.
Well, especially when those titles you just called out aren't known to be great titles either.
Well, I think what we're going to see here in about 2 to 5 years is a huge growth for iRacing, because these people that get into these console games, they're going to transition into iRacing, and we're going to see growth. And I think iRacing knows that.
Well, and I think the biggest thing is on the console you can get your. I'm sure companies are going to start, if this is going to be a thing. There's obviously we're going to have more products that are tailored to consoles and the PC, peripheral wise. But you can buy your basic, steering wheel setup, pedals and stuff, and race the console version, and then down the road, like you said, it might transfer into buying a rig, buying monitors, buying triples, and moving into iRacing or buy VR or things like that. Because even I could see PlayStation, if they make a VR component, that PlayStation has the VR too. They could make the NASCAR game if they really wanted to, and have a VR component to it.
It's pretty cool. You look at iRacing had this big growth with COVID, which was unexpected. But I think we can expect another big growth spike after these games come out. Um, And so kudos to iRacing for landing the license. Now let's and I think the other thing I'll say out loud is I think iRacing is in a really good position to make good with this because of their success with the World of Outlaw game, because they bought Monster Games and they added all the staff recently, and they're ready for it. They really are.
Yeah, and like Greg said, these peripherals, these companies are going to have to start planning. What are we going to build so the guys on the consoles can use wheels, pedals, rigs? This is a big moment for sim racing, and these companies are going to jump on this.
I think
right. If you're a wheel manufacturer, you need to get your stuff PlayStation and Xbox compatible, right?
Well, and Mike, you were talking about putting on the PC. If it's on the PC, it's a lot. Any of us that already have our rigs and stuff like that, it makes it more or less, or us more likely to purchase something like this to have fun and play around with when we're not on iRacing. Say, I just want to race, the Daytona 500 or the whole NASCAR Cup schedule, without racing somebody online. I can do that, but do it in a game form.
Well, while we're talking about the various other software companies, there apparently have been some rumors floating around that Rensport is using R Factor 2 physics and parameters. And we have, I don't know if there's any merit to this or not, but we have Rensport and R Factor chiming in on this. R Factor has chimed in that they have not issued to any game developer following the Rensport allegations. And then Rensport put out a message as well, and I'll go ahead and read this one for you. I want to address some rumors and accusations that have been circulating in our community recently. We are proud to say that all of our content and libraries used in the production of Rensport are created by us, commissioned, or licensed appropriately. All right, it goes into a little bit more, but they say that if they are using any other software, like they openly say that they use the Unreal Engine, and they openly say that they use laser scanned tracks, but that they do it all on the up and up legally, essentially is what they're saying. So I guess are the accusations that they actually hacked some of R Factor's code and used it without permission?
Well, it all started with somebody who looked through Rensport's code, compared it to R Factor 2 code, and it matched up. It matches some of the code, not all of it, but there's code that matches up, like literally, word for word, line for line. I think they maybe the variable names were different, but everything else, as far as the structure of it, was perfectly the exact. And so it got put. I think it started on Reddit. Race Sim Central picked it up. There's a guy on YouTube who did a video about it. I forget his name. And so it forced everyone because everyone was talking about it. So then, as Traxian.gg reported, they got a quote from R Factor 2 saying, "Look, we didn't sell any licenses to anybody for this stuff." That's what they say. So so these guys are like, "Well, hey, we see this code everyone else sees on the internet. It looks like our code, but we haven't, licensed this to anybody." And so then right after that, you get the quote that David read, which says, "Oh no, we didn't do that. We have everything licensed appropriately. We're on the up and up." So that's the story where it is today. When you read through the comments and some of the social media, I think it's a matter of semantics with the licensing. Apparently, before Studio 397 took ownership of the R Factor 2 license, there was code out there like pre R Factor 2 that perhaps they're using a portion of that or something along those lines.
So it's code that they both took from somewhere else, is what I'm getting from what you're saying.
I think it's clearly owned by R Factor 2, but I don't know. I think the claim was the code was pre R Factor 2 before it was actually licensed to that company. So it's semantics, like I said.
Now, I'm not I'm not great with code or anything like that. I'm not. Could it possibly be that when Ren Sports, is there an employee or someone that writes code that went from R Factor to Ren Sports, or is there anybody that moved between companies? Like, it's you can take code and secrets by if you write it. Like if you have the same writer for something, sometimes guys write the same type of code. It's a signature and things like that, or how they do stuff.
But here's what's interesting: if our factor really thinks that this is not licensed, would they not be slapping them with a lawsuit?
Right. Well, that's probably the next shoe to fall, David. I don't think this thing is over.
Well, if it's not progressing at any time soon, I would guess that R Factor doesn't see Ren Sport as a threat. Maybe if they don't progress into lawsuits or looking into it further, but if you do see a lawsuit like you're talking about, then obviously there is something legitimately behind it.
More to come.
Did y'all put this one on here for me?
Yeah, you have to read this one.
This is the one for David. Yeah.
I refuse to read it. I refuse.
Are you banned from reading it? Are you banned from reading it?
All right, so I got it. Chat ban prevention is the topic. It's a forum post from Alan Strovich. He had some ideas on how to prevent chat bans in iRacing. And so let me see if I can paraphrase what he says here. A prompt will play and a voice command will instruct you to think about the incident for a moment. For second and third time offenders, your mic will be muted for up to 30 seconds to a minute to be able to think about the situation prior to allowing you to immediately go live on the mic. So he's like some kind of delay or a warning on your mic if you've had a warning, a chat ban warning.
Won't help.
Right, you just wait 60 seconds and you'll still say what you want to say, right?
Just makes you think. Doesn't it make you better at you get to think more of what you're going to say coming out of your mouth when that 60 seconds up?
You get more time to craft how many cuss words you want to throw at the guy.
Well, so who hasn't called somebody an idiot at some time? We all do it.
That's a ban.
I got reported for that one time.
Okay.
I'm trying to think. Last night I got called something that I've never been called for, but it wasn't even bad. I can't even remember what it was because I collected a guy when I hit that wall. I wish I could remember what it said, but he said it in the nicest way. But he was mad. He must have been Canadian.
So for a while in iRacing, a few years, I actually would purposely, when I get in the race, I would switch the microphone channel to the team channel away from the driver's channel. So when I get wrecked and I went to go key up and say, you mother effer or whatever I'm going to say, nobody heard it because I was on the team channel. And so it did what Alan Strovich is trying to do. It gave me a moment to think, okay, if I really want to say this to that guy, I got to switch channels and say it again. And that usually made me think twice, and I didn't do it. So it actually worked, just having the mic on another channel, just to prevent that instant, you're red hot mad and you just like, mother, and you just want to scream bloody murder at the guy.
David's not here. He stepped out for a sec, but I was gonna say he has Discord where he could yell at us, so we could care less, but it doesn't work.
Well, I
and
think
then
we all,
you hear guys that don't even have a mic hooked up. They don't even have a button mapped.
Well, I think my solution has always been just disable the voice chat. I can say it, nobody hears it.
Well, David disables his chat. He just uses iRacing does it for him.
Look, you got to have chat in oval racing. If you're not, you're at a disadvantage.
Yes.
Green flag stops. You need to tell the guy behind you, I'm coming in at a minimum. You got to have that option.
I tell you what, I'd be fine actually with that, with chat going completely away, if you could still basically have a way to wave out the window for pitting, pretty much.
Hand gestures.
Well, at least the nice hand gesture. Though I wouldn't mind having the other one, but
I think the other one should be in there.
But that was really the only thing it's needed for. All the other BS could go away. I could be fine with everybody not being allowed to chat it up, and just have a button, even that, like, literally, that's even if you're chat banned, that you can signal pitting now.
Can you not, in your chat ban? I'm just asking this question because I don't know. Can you not use the typing part where it says pitting in
No.
or pitting out? No, you can't do that. Okay. Do you think there would be more protests if there was no talk or no chat? Like, because then you don't get, sometimes people do calm down a little bit after you're talking, after an incident or something like that. Do you think it would produce more or less protests?
Be more, because if you don't get that verbal apology, you're just mad and I'm going to protest it. But if the guy apologizes, 9 times out of 10, I just let it go. If he's nice about it, hey, I didn't mean to run into you, dude. I'm so sorry. I'll take it. I'll race another day.
That's for sure. Because even some guys who've crossed me before recently, I had a guy who hit me. It just upset the car, but he did apologize, and I let, at that point I was cool. It's over. Because I mean, I mess up. I've drove it in too deep, or try to get in line too late and come across the guy's nose. But so that does help. But the biggest thing that is a danger is not being able to announce that you're pitting, especially
at the super speedways or the drafting tracks.
No, because there you pull down before you get off the gas. It's more like 1.5 miles where everybody tries to actually pit from turn 4.
Why, you get to pit under green flag and NIS?
Every once in a while. We did it, Texas. All right, next up, Mike, we got some rally dirt issues.
We do. This is a 2-part. This is the first part where it got reported in the forums. Robbie curtly posted, there's something wrong at Iowa and Atlanta tracks that feel more like asphalt than dirt. And unfortunately, we didn't get these 2 stories grouped together, David, but further down, we're going to see Greg West reporting that they are going to remove some time attack results because of the dirt rallycross physics bug. So what happened is, when you were on the dirt, it felt like asphalt, so you were able to go faster than you should have. So basically, it messed up all the world records for those tracks and cars because of the bug. So in a very rare, I would say once and forever, I don't know if they've ever done this, they're going to actually erase results out of the database.
So they probably revert back to whatever the date was when the patch or whatever that broke it came out then?
Yeah, in fact, he says, we expect this to impact 58 total entries.
That's a lot. I'm a world record holder. No, you're not.
Now, it might be slightly heartbreaking for the guys, but as long as they're not like actually punishing them, because it was basically an iRacing bug that they might not have even been aware of. So I think this is the fairest choice.
Is there an achievement for having a world record?
No way I would have a chance of knowing.
I don't think there is, but I mean, imagine if there was one, and all of a sudden now that you had it, you're like, oh, I got it. Probably can't take it back though.
Mike, this one's yours. You have to read this one.
Is the UI getting worse? Is the forum post thread by Massimo Berta. He's asked in the forums, if there's no more indication of how many cars are registered in a practice session on this beta UI. And yeah, he's got people weighing in, one way or another about it. But what do you guys think? Is the beta UI getting worse?
Don't know. Don't use it.
Is it getting
You're still
worse,
on
or
the
is there
website?
is it getting worse, or is there just more? There's way too much information that's being added. That's like it sounds like it's shrinking some of these fields of the field of the stuff being shown, and because they're trying to put so much on the screen at one time, where you don't, you know, do I really need an? The one thing that I always laugh at: do I really need an image if it's partly cloudy, sunny? Like, does it really need to be a full size image of things like that? It seems like a wasted picture space.
You know, I I switched to the UI. I pretty much don't use the website. Um, I've seen things where they were working and then not working. So I agree with the op here. Like for example, in hosted, you used to be able to see the picture of the car of the uh, in the line of the hosted event. Like what car is it? And then for the longest time, it said unknown. It said the word unknown. It changed from like a little graphic to a word. And it's just annoying, that it says that. So like it was working and then it wasn't. I got to admit, they fixed the stats that I had a problem with where it wasn't showing my division. They finally got that corrected. But yeah, I'm still not a fan of it, to be honest.
So is the beta UI turning into what's going on at grocery stores, where you still paying the same price for a bag of chips, but you're getting less in the chips bag now, but it still looks like the same size bag?
I still think the old website is better for seeing who's in a session. Like you could hover over the little helmet and see a quick list of who's in the session. Like when you're looking at the hosted events, that's not possible in the beta UI. You have to click into the event and do this and that, and then you see a list. And so I like when you go to ghost somebody, it's really hard to ghost somebody on the beta UI. In fact, John, what did I tell you to do when you were
You
trying to
told
figure out
both.
ghosting?
I was just
I
gonna
said
say
pull
this.
up the
Both of
old
us.
website.
Yeah, both of us. The other night when we went to practice in that session, that's what I did. I just found you on my friends list in the website and clicked on it and was in the room in no time. Right?
So
Well,
I've never used the old website, so I'm a new guy, and all I've ever used is the UI. But it was difficult for me to go in and ghost your race. It's not easy to find. You you have to just keep clicking on watch in different splits until you find the one you want. I can't find a racer that I want.
that's what I mean. You're looking for a particular name in like all these different splits. On the on the old website, you see all the different splits, and you could, like I said, you don't have to click anything. You hover, and you can see a list of names, so you can quickly scan all the different splits and find my teammate, and then click on the right one. So in the new UI, like you said, you got to click into it and hit watch, and then you see a list. Oh, he's not in here, so now I got to back out.
Oh, it's a 5 or 10 minute ordeal to find who you want. So they really need to fix that. Need to fix it fast.
Well, we covered a few weeks ago that they're basically starting it over with the UI. So I guess they're going to go with the Gamma UI, right? And the first thing they should literally put on at the top of the list is do everything that the website can do.
Right. I mean, that's a starting point, and they still haven't gotten to that point. And it's been how many years? I mean, yeah, and I don't like people to lose their jobs and stuff. Man, they really need a UI designer, a seasoned UI designer that isn't going to overlook this kind of stuff. That will look at the website and say, "Wow, they can pick out who their teammate is in a glance out of all these splits. We need to recreate that." Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Now, this next one's looking a little interesting. DJ EJ has posted a video with 10 iRacing tracks that are hidden in plain sight. Can we actually race on them or not?
You can't. These are ones you can't really race on. So the one that jumped out at me that I'm aware of is that Lime Rock Park. So as you go up the hill, the backside of Lime Rock Park, when you're up on the hill to the right, there's a small oval there, actually. And I've tried everything in the world at that track to try to get onto that oval. And there's just no way to get to it. There's walls, and then you fall into the hidden abyss or whatever.
I still would really like to hear if they are ever going to actually develop that dirt track that they scanned at Indy.
Well, he pointed out the go-kart track. I think it's maybe Charlotte.
Charlotte, yeah.
Yeah, we're not going to get go-karts, but boy, if we did, that would be a lot of fun.
I wouldn't say never for go-karts. I think at some point there will be something like that. There'll be a push for it.
Like when they did the rescan at Pocono, he mentioned there's all these road courses that are in the infield, but you can't get to them. These little tiny, road course things.
They call them road course, but a lot of them are just access roads to let cars in and out. If you look at from like some of above it, I mean, they probably are used as like a go-kart track maybe in real life. Who knows? Because the infields on a lot of these tracks, there isn't a lot of detail to it.
And like a track day, where you bring your own car and they have cones out and you drive around. Pretty cool.
All right, this next one I wish I had gotten around to watching. But yeah, it's October, and that if you are in the band world, you know what that means. Dave Cam explores the benefits of having a hidden iRating. This sounds pretty interesting because especially after going through my loss of 1,000 iRating in a matter of a month, I just don't even look at it anymore.
This is a neat video. Dave basically tells us we don't sim race because we're afraid of losing iRating.
Well, I think he's got a point. You look at some races and you think to yourself, I'd like to do that, but I'm not going to get in it because it's going to be a wreck fest.
Right. I'm a perfect example of what he's talking about. I mean, you look what I did a year ago. I joined the Legend series and I ran 1,000 iRating out of my, down. I lost 1,000 iRating. And I basically didn't recover until about 2 weeks ago from that. And then I went farming at a particular track and car and gained the 1,000 back just recently. And I'm back to where I was almost a year ago. But back a year ago when I ran that Legend series, I was like, screw it. I don't give a crap about my iRating. I want to race what I want to race. And I didn't care. And it got me to, 1,000 lower iRating. I go into the new season. I'm in a lower division because of it. And now I'm trying to grow it again to get back to where I was. Well, guess what? I'm not running other oval stuff because I'm afraid I'm going to lose the iRating. Like, I think
just don't want to
John,
lose
you
the
said, I might
championship.
run the ARCA. Like, if I go to run an ARCA race right now, I'm going to lose iRating for sure.
But hiding iRating would not change that.
Yeah, your iRating. It's the other people's you don't want to like. The only thing I'm seeing from it, Mike, is that if you don't, I wonder if it would bring up more, like, if, say, David and I got in a race and we were racing, we know who the good name racers are in the Oval Series, but what's there to tell you that it's actually a fair room that you're racing in? I mean, obviously I don't judge someone's skill on their iRating completely. I know that it's iRating's hard to achieve. over a whole season, it's hard to, you fall where your talent lets you fall most of the time. There is exceptions to the rule, but um, I think if it's not there, could you question iRacing and saying, "Oh, how did I know that I was put in the right split?" Or I should be in this split, not that split. Whereas we just have the number and we know we don't question any of the rooms, and it's also a ranking. Like a lot of people use those things to rank themselves and how they feel. It used to actually mean something ranking wise, but now it's just kind of, see what split you get in and that's it.
Well, sports rankings, there are some sports rankings like in tennis that work like this, where your ranking in the tennis tour is kind of based on how you perform. But just where I was going is hiding the I rating. If you know that the I rating still exists, is not going to prevent you from worrying about your I rating. You're just going to probably be even more anxious because you don't know what you're losing and gaining until you get into the race. And then, I mean, then are you going to see the strength of fields, and you're going to see how the points are calculated? Um, I think to get, if he's talking about it's keeping you from racing other cars, then the only solution to that is I rating per vehicle.
That rating would
I
be
might
really
be
hard to
okay
do.
with that.
Yeah, but I think for them to split that would be really tough to get it done on every vehicle, especially now. If they'd done that from day one, it's probably not a problem. But adding that to like every vehicle nowadays would be really, really tough.
Even though I'd be okay with that, I still think it's better the way it is. Oval, road, dirt, and so forth. And it's like okay, so I'm an oval guy. I'm gonna race ARCA, Xfinity trucks, Cup. Maybe late models. Stocks, late, stock, that kind of thing. So it is a similar genre, I guess you'd call it. So I think I like the idea that the rating is consistent among that. All the ovals.
Now, yeah, but they have already said that they're going to rework some of the iRating system. Like I think eventually open wheel and sports cars are going to get separated. Um, and
True.
maybe something like modify some of the specialty oval series, or like maybe the open wheeled oval cars, or even the late model where they're really focused. It's almost its own little community. Maybe those need to be separated a little bit, and so you have a big oval and little oval I rating, maybe,
Give
or
like
something.
a NASCAR I rating and a short track I racing or something. I rating.
Yeah.
Well, and you guys were saying, split it per vehicle. Well, then what do you do for the NASCAR series? Do you consider it an oval car or a road car? Is it just like you saying, just a NASCAR series cup car? Like you'd have to. Do you have a road uh, I rating and an oval I rating for the car?
Or you just have a car for that class of car.
So Dave Cam was talking about like hide the I rating, group people into pro, semi-pro, amateur, some kind of label. But like you said, Dave, I think we're still going to micromanage it because I know, like, if everything else doesn't change, the championship points with Tom, but when I had 1,000 less I rating, I would get half the championship points for a 10th place that he would get for 10th place. So would it be any different if the I rating was hidden from us where we didn't know what it was? No, I would see for the same position, 10th, he got twice as many championship points. Holy cow, I got to catch up.
But would you be more upset if, okay, because we all the championships for the NIS are based on their divisions or like what you guys are doing. Would you be more upset if you had a guy that say he was like a 6 or 8,000 I rating, and then he dropped down to your division to start the season, and then he still races like that type of, like, you don't know that he's done that, or you're not being able to see that. It's could be frustrating. Maybe that he does that every season. I know iRacing says we have the I rating system to prevent that now. That they won't let people do that, but I'd be afraid if it was kind of hidden, that would happen. But we have we have leveling systems in all kinds of games that's how you match up. Like if you have shooter games or when you're playing online, if you have sports games, they all have a rating system somehow, but where you're not playing someone that has not supposed to be playing someone that has way more experience than you most of the time if it's supposed to be equal.
Now, something else that came out today that's not on the script is R Factor 2 is putting out an update where they're going to do a multiplayer system with ranking, driver ranking, similar to iRating. So it's all over social media today. So it should be interesting to see what R Factor 2 is going to do with their quote iRating, whatever they call it.
Well, it seems to me the I rating, safety rating, as Dave Cam points out, it's a great motivator. You look at your ratings and you say, man, I want to improve this. I want to get it moving. Well, if that's hidden, it takes a little bit of that motivation away.
Look, we already hide iRating from rookies. Look, you're a brand new rookie in iRacing. You don't see it, actually.
You see
So,
but
and
other
they do
rating,
that on purpose for those guys.
yeah, but the other rating is what gets you out of the rookie to get to the other thing. So there is a system that is still training you to
It's
get a number, right?
It's brilliant. I
But
think it's a perfect system.
we focus on, we're all focused on where we rank iRating wise. You don't go. I know people say in a race, I'm here for safety rating and things like that when they're trying to technically farm safety rating, but you don't hear somebody say that they're only here to. I'm only here to drive for safety rating. I don't care what my I rating is. It's always just the I rating.
Look, what does iRating really equate to in currency in sim racing? What split you're in? Am I in top split? Am I in the second split? Am I in bottom split? Like John's talking about motivation. Yeah, I'd be motivated to get out of bottom split if I was stuck in bottom split. I'd be motivated to gain some iRating and get out of that mess.
I don't want. Sorry, David. I don't want to. I'm going to use you as an example, Mike. You farmed what, like 600 iRating last week, something like that.
970.
970. Okay. Are you in 1 week running restrictor plates, 900 iRating better, 2 splits better driver for 1 week? It's not really. You can farm if you find the right thing and it works for you for a week. You're not really, over a week you're not becoming a 2 split better driver or something like that. That's why we always complain about how fast people can run through the ranks sometimes too. If you find the right system and way to go through. I'm not saying what you did was bad or anything like that. You're up where you're supposed to be anyways. Like I said, most of the time you fall in your average area over time. You're never gonna, eventually the iRating is supposed to level you out. So if you're, you can only finish, if you go in second split, you finish in the top 5 all the time, but then you move into top split, you're top 20 or whatever. It moves you back and forth between there all the time, and you'll have 1 or 2 good races here or there. It helps you grow as a driver. It's not going to be there to you're not going to gain substantially all the time. The people that are really good in here will always gain that way, but average drivers like us, we fluctuate in the same area all the time.
So it's a good question what you say. I mean, I'm 2 splits higher in NIS, and the question is, can I still perform at the same level I've been performing? Top 5 and top 10 and getting some wins, that kind of thing. And so that's the real test over the next few weeks. Can I hold it? Or am I going to, have some bad finishes and naturally decay back down to, 2,500 where I've been for a long time? I think I might belong at 2,500 just because I wasn't able to naturally bring that up in just running NIS. I pretty much have stayed at that number. So we'll see. This, like you said, this might be an artificial gain and short-lived. We'll see.
All right, this next one makes me a little envious. We keep talking about how the YouTubers get to do all the cool shit. Matt Malone posted a YouTube video where he gets to check out Tony Kanan's sim racing garage.
Whoa. It's literally a garage. I see a garage door. Big garage, though. And, yeah, Tony's... not long ago, I think it was just a couple of weeks ago, we saw a kind of a Instagram video tour of his little sim room. And he had 3 rigs in a small little office.
What is he doing, like,
Now,
a minute into that?
He's moved them. Yeah, he's moved them to the big room, it looks like.
Well, he's got 4 rigs set up, and one of his buddies tells us, what's on these rigs, and it's the same things that we all use.
Are those the SimCube pedals that he just showed?
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah, he's got them
man.
on a couple of them, I think.
That's so nice. Those,
Yeah, they got really good equipment.
those are the Samsung monitors too.
Tony's definitely got the retirement figured out. I think sim racing is actually a great place, not only for the young up and comers to go, but it's a great place for the guys who take longer to recover from injuries to go and still have a little bit of fun. But he doesn't have to do the same level of appearances that he does when he's full-time IndyCar, right, or full-time NASCAR. I think that's a great place for some retired drivers to continue to scratch the competitive itch.
Just a random McLaren sitting in the garage too.
And his trophies. There's all the trophies that Tony has won. He's got them up there on the shelf.
You know what's funny, Mike? On my screen, I have it exactly synced to it playing the exact same way as yours. I'm looking at it on my screen. It's not, I hit the button, I guess, at the same time you did.
Now, Tony did say in the video, this isn't an open door, everyone's welcome. He said, you're not welcome. This is private. But he's showing it off, and it's pretty cool.
Well, how funny that our next topic is iRating. How about John? You want to pick a topic? Did I call him out when he's AFK? He's not running a camera, so I don't know if he's there.
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry about that. So Max Beneke says he's reclaimed the highest I rating again.
Maximilian Beneke.
Who had it that he had to go back again? Because I could have swore I thought he was up there for a while.
And he's got, 2 accounts? Or no, it's the same account, sorry. But he's at 1,892.
So I assume this is all road racing? Is that what he's doing?
Did you mean 10,182?
10,892.
Okay, you said 1,000.
Oh.
That's like definitely inflating a bag of air or deflating a bag of air with some ships.
It's crazy stats, but yeah, congratulations to him.
Now, does somebody reach that level because they farm, or they're real selective with their races, or are they just that good that they pretty much win every time?
That's the latter. I mean, they run these, GT3 or whatever races, and they're always in the top 3 probably. And yeah, it's kind of like when you see Matt Busa in a A Open or a Garrett Maines in the A Open. They're gonna finish first or second.
Or Christian Chandler in any of the sports car races. He runs in the majors and he wins pretty much every race.
This guy's 50%. Like, he's 50% all the time. Like, when you have an average start of 3rd and an average finish of 5th, like, that's just nuts. And he's raced 651. I'm guessing it's overall, right? It would be overall road.
So the guys that do this, are they running the same car all the time?
Well, he's a
where they
he's a teacher too. He has his own site or his own setup site, right?
Yeah, he's been in like the Porsche series and stuff like that. Anything road.
All right, Greg. Next up is the Season 4 Patch 2 Hot Fix 1.
Yeah, so there was a couple. It wasn't a very big hot fix. Was it
Well, they had to
patch
fix
two hot
that
fix
dirt
one?
problem. That dirt road problem I mentioned before, where the track surfaces weren't right.
Yeah, so they fixed that, but they fixed that and took those time attack times away, right, Mike?
Right.
I don't think they have to patch to do that.
Well, I
No,
think
but
that was the reason for the patch was the dirt thing, but there were a few other minor things that they included too.
yeah, so the Dallara IR18 fixed an issue with some body kit elements were removed while having the new damage model. So I guess that was something they needed to fix. This is the new Ferrari one, right? The 296 GT3. New damage model, strengthening the nose and rear panels and slightly strengthening the wheels. Super Formula SF23 fixed an issue with the available sponsors and fonts for the car in the paint booth or paint shop. And then they had to fix something on the Kern County Raceway Park asphalt track where they fixed an issue with the gate along the back wall could snag a car and if you got too close. Just a small patch, but yeah, like Mike, you're probably right. It was all triggered with the dirt problem.
Next up, we have another feel-good sim-to-real story as Caden Honeycutt gets a win in the Arkham Menards West Series in his series debut.
That's impressive. Series debut, win it. Yeah, Caden Honeycutt is going to be in NASCAR a star. I mean, making his way through trucks and Xfinity. I just like to see him get a good ride.
Absolutely. I follow the ARCA series pretty close, and this guy's going to make it to the Cup Series someday.
Agreed. So we've seen him in the Coke Series and on iRacing for a while, and he definitely got the chops.
Yeah, kudos to him.
All right, this next one we might need to make as a permanent link on our website is definitely a good resource. Anthony Alfredo, former guest, he's posted on iRacing for Beginners series on his YouTube. He's posted a iRacers for Beginning series on his YouTube, and he's already got episode 1 out, and he's planning on dropping the second one out tonight. Or actually, that was a couple of days ago, so it's probably already out.
So I checked these out. Anthony already has 6 videos out in 4 days.
Ooh, I only watched the first one.
Yeah, and they're really good. I would encourage any of the listeners who are starting out to watch all of these. He starts with the basics and goes from there. So there's 6 already.
Yeah, like the first video is like really the basics. Like, how do you sign up for iRacing? What do you do? What do you click on? And he gives a short tour of the beta UI. What do you see up in the corner in the top right? But you really want to be on the menus on the left side to figure out where you want to race. And he kind of just takes you through it. As a beginner. So well done, Anthony.
I could just see Mike making a how-to video, and after signing up with signing for iRacing, if he made the video, it's like take the beta UI icon and drag it and put it in your recycling bin.
Well, that's just about what he's done. I mean, he gets into test driving, how to use cameras, options, settings. I mean, these videos, they're 8 to 10 minutes, so it's an easy watch. People should check into that.
I just remember they were putting out all those like operations manuals for the cars, and then all of a sudden they've stopped doing that for each car. Mike, we used to have it on the podcast where they would show you what each thing does for each car. It seems like that's not being publicized as much anymore, that they're being done, or are they being done and we just don't know it?
I think they're still doing them. Just don't see the visibility of it.
All right, we got a couple of quick hits on the events. We've already talked in depth about the balance of power and the car classes. iRacing did tweet about the Petit Le Mans, which is coming up this weekend. And it's the first iRacing special event that will have the full GTP lineup. That would be kind of appropriate considering, was it just last year that the GTPs even existed, or is it this year?
Not full yet because it doesn't have the Ferraris.
Yeah, but they're not in the real races either, are they?
Well, I guess the Ferraris, I think they've competed in the ones that are, I don't
In
know.
Europe?
Yeah, the Europe stuff. That I think because the Ferrari didn't do Daytona, but they did Le Mans because they won Le Mans, right?
I guess I should have said our full lineup instead of the full lineup. So technically, it's always been
it is our
their
full lineup.
their
That's good.
full lineup. It's always been their full lineup, even when it was just two. It was all they had, so it was their full lineup. So this is kind of depends on how technical you want to get with the language. It depends on the definition of is. What is the definition of is?
And we have the SCC runoffs coming up in October. It's October 21st and 22nd. That's at VIR. And some of these slower cars, that's not this weekend, not next weekend, but the following.
Man, I used to hate that Spec Racer Ford. That was such a weird car to drive on here.
And then podcast housekeeping, leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform to make it easier for more listeners to find us. Mention the podcast to your fellow drivers so they don't miss out. We do appreciate it. Join the fun on Discord. That's how John got on the show. He found us on Discord. Make sure to get on our website, iRacersLounge.com. We are in regular rotation at the Performance Motorsports Network. And don't forget, our merchandise is available at iRacersLounge.shop. If you're on the video feed, you'll see my new hat I'm wearing now. I got the jersey on. Loving the merch. I'm definitely sporting it these days.
I got mine in as well. I'm not wearing it today because I had a doctor's appointment right after school, and I bolted so fast I left my gym bag at school. So, but I did post it on our page, I believe, or I at least tagged our page, and it's also in the Discord as well. All right, it's time to talk fantasy, and we have first we'll start with the Talladega Superspeedway standings, and we'll read off the looks like this is a pretty tight standing, so we might go a little deeper than the top five. Mad Dog takes the win with 211, and then we have Hey Look, Mitch Mighty Pin. I don't remember that name. Mackenzie Stevens, that's a familiar name, so he does exist, even though we haven't heard from him in a while. Canadian in fourth. Oh, and Mike, looky there, right up there at 172.
Fourth. And Justin, sixth.
Justin, sixth, because there was a tie for fourth. Right? Dollars and cents in seventh. Is that TG1 Racing? These glasses are not
Tony
doing
Grove.
a great job. Ah, there we go.
And there's Bobby Jonas in 10th.
And then overall standings, with still a pretty comfortable lead, over 110-point lead. Canadian. Second is Team Dwan. NASCAR Jedi is in third. North-South Racing fourth. Res Dog rounding out the top five.
Yep, and the winner's going to get either a trophy or some merch. I haven't quite figured that out yet, but winner's going to get a prize.
Well, I'd say we use the merch. We've already got it. So.
Right. Now, what did you guys like about Talladega?
Honestly, not much. Um, yeah, I'm in the same camp as one of the the big podcasts that we listen to, in that you can't get the third lane working unless they're saving fuel. You just can't go like you could in any of the old packages. There's the only way to work your way forward is to sit in the middle lane and wait for other people to get impatient.
I heard Denny Hamlin on his podcast talk about it's all about saving fuel. Save fuel, save fuel, save fuel. Why? Oh, so he can stay less time on pit road. And that's all it's about, is what he's saying. Look, if you're not leading the line, you're saving fuel. That's more important, and that's a shame. I wish that it wasn't like that. But once they've learned that, look, if I save fuel the whole run, I'm on pit road a good second and a half less than the next guy.
It's only because of the single wheel nut. That's the only thing that's really caused all that, is they gotta wait on fuel and not tires anymore.
Not exactly, because they're not going to take tires at that track anyway, whether it's 5 nuts or 1 nut. I mean, you can run the whole Talladega race in NIS and not change the tires.
I was more speaking of real life than
anything. But it's the same situation. The tires don't wear.
So I was coaching the team during Talladega race. You never wait on tires. You're only waiting on fuel. Now, you can take tires, but you're never going to wait on tires. Okay, so that's the rule, at least at that track.
And I really think in one of my races, I didn't catch back up with the pack because I took 4 tires on a full stop, and I still think I waited on tires longer than the fuel.
Right. And then, so what do we like about this week? Roval, I think we thought it might be the last Roval, but they released a schedule, and it's not. It's back next year.
Yeah, and I'm not disappointed. I don't like having 6 road courses, but the Roval was a good addition. But part of what made it a good addition is that it was special, and it stopped being so special when they started shoving road courses down our throat.
Right. Remember when the first Roval race was, and it was kind of special, and yeah, they did exactly what you said.
And I'm glad they didn't make the same mistake with dirt and start throwing in 3 or 4 dirt track races, because some of these things are only good because they're special. Too much of any good thing can be bad.
Yeah, these cars, they're not built for road courses. They're not built for dirt. And it's not special anymore.
So who do we like? I gotta think Blaney. He's got momentum. He's won at the Roval before, but you got to look at Chase Elliott. He's really good at the Roval.
You don't have a ringer you want to jump on the bandwagon again with?
Well, SVG's not in the race, or I'd be picking him. You can't go against Martin Truex right now. I mean, he's really good on road too, so it's going to be a good race. Our teammate Brad Wren is going to be at the track, so anybody going to be there at the race, hit up Brad, and you guys can hook up.
Let's start talking some hardware software, sponsored by Metro Ford of Chicago. And the first item up for discussion is another review on Lawrence DeSosa's channel. It's the SimMagic P1000 pedals, which have haptic rumble motors.
Ooh. Yeah,
Like
these are decent pedals. I like the rumble motors part of it. I think that's what differentiates these from others.
That's what Lawrence said. He loved the rumble motors. He's going to do a full review here in a few days on the the 1000 series, but big believer in the rumble shakers.
Now, you expressed some interest, John, in these pedals for maybe your new ones. And I told you earlier this week what my hard stop is on this. Do you remember what I said?
I do. And you said it was the logo Keep Racing that's on these pedals.
Right across the front at the bottom, like where you'd put your heel, is a big, bold Keep Racing is what it says. Not a Sim Magic. If it said Sim Magic, I might be okay with it. But they put up a slogan or whatever it is, a slogan. I don't like it. I don't want it to say Keep Racing. I wouldn't buy it because it says that. I just don't understand why they think that's needed.
Well, and Lawrence DeSouza said the same thing. He I guess, to use an old phrase, it's a little bit corny. It should say Sim Magic. And I thought to myself, if I buy these pedals, I'm going to take a can of spray paint and I'm going to paint that over because I don't want that.
Well, it lights up, right?
So you can get some peripherals with it that would light up, and he really liked those. He said those things are great, but he just didn't like the boilerplate Keep Racing slogan on there. And I don't like it either. It doesn't look right.
Wonder if you can request that be taken off and something else put on.
It'd be cool if you could, if they had a custom where you could put a name or something on it or something like that.
Put your team name on.
Well,
that would be cool.
People use pedal cams, right? So what if you put for me, if it said Frozen Cactus or it said iRacing or iRacers Lounge.
Well, that looks like a detachable piece, in fact. Because you look around 22, 52, it's not put on there yet. Or am I looking? I may be looking wrong, but it looks like he had it detached there for a moment.
I don't know if it's required piece or not.
Well, so yeah, it's on there. I mean, when you get the pedals, it's going to be on there. So you have to do some kind of mod paint to fix that.
What are these worth? Oh, 599 euros.
Yeah, not a bad price for. These are load cell now. I think the P2000 are the hydraulic version.
They are, and you can get on the 1000 the hydraulic kit. So they'll send that to you for, I think it's about $650 with the hydraulics.
It's €899 inverted hollow hydraulics, and then it's €779 with the standard hydraulics.
I would say, John, if you can afford it, at least get the hydraulic brake. Don't.
Yeah,
it's just so huge.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I want the hydraulics. He suggested that, and I think that's the way to go.
They are a nice looking pedal, though. I do like that. If anything, you're right, Mike, just without that logo, but it is a nice looking set of load cell pedals, just as is.
Yeah, for the price and stuff, I think everything else hits the mark. I just don't like that look. And look is important. We spend a lot of money on these things. We want a certain look. We don't want fancy slogans and stuff.
No. And I think people ought to consider the inverted version as well. That might be a better choice.
Yeah. I mean, you and I talked about inverted versus standard earlier this week as well. And I think we both agreed inverted just because it pivots from above and then below, there's actual different feel that your foot gets.
It's like a real race car. Most
right,
race cars.
Like a real car.
That's what I run inverted pedals. I love my inverted pedals.
Is it once you go inverted, you can't go back, or?
Yeah. Well, he's going to do a full-on review of these pedals here in a few days, and let us know what he thinks. The final verdict on these.
I like that they used a bigger vibrating motor, like the motor for the vibration for it. It's better that it's not just those little weight that spins around that they've put. Like Fanatec has little weights on the back of theirs. It's nice to see a decent size, field or something to create the vibration there.
Mine never worked on my V3s anyway.
And he did, Lawrence did say these would be an upgrade from the V3s. So if you're running V3s and want an upgrade, this might be the route to go.
All right, this next one's pretty interesting. If you have a wheel that doesn't have very many buttons on it, I can think of one teammate who doesn't use push to talk who could probably use something like this. Picorni Engineering offers a button and optional shifter addition to your favorite Rally, GT, or Cup wheel. And it's kind of a center mount pipe piece that'll go right in the middle, and it's got three rotaries in the middle and two thumb switches that are hat switches kind of on the side, and 4 thumb buttons. Hopefully it's close enough that smaller hands can reach it, but this looks like a good addition if you've got something like a NASCAR rim. Kind of one of the only killers is does require a cable.
Is it using, okay, I see, it's using that 3-bolt pattern to attach to some type of rim.
Yeah, the third picture shows it hooked to like a NASCAR rim, and yeah, they just hook it to the center part, where the wheel mounts, and gives you all those different buttons and different things, and they light up and everything. It's pretty nice. I haven't heard of this company before, so it's a new product for us on the show from Pocorni Engineering.
Now, why is it marked as DIY? Is this 3D print or something, and you put it together?
I don't know. He says that in the Instagram post. I think the idea is maybe it's a DIY wheel. This is just the centerpiece for it. You have to provide your own wheel to go with it.
I think it also obviously it looks like there's optional magnetic shifters and a clutch input for bite point adjustment. Maybe that can be added to it.
Cool.
All right, next one is handy. You might have something like this, Mike. It's a track form phone mount that is kind of a T-slot.
Yeah, this is the phone mount I use. Somebody on the team asked me for this link. I think it was Tyler Williamson. He was wanting to buy one. And so I found the link from my order from 2 years ago, and it's from a company called Tackform, not Trackform, but Tackform. And yeah, the T-slot ready phone mount. I love it. It's like you can slide your phone into it. I use a 13 Pro Max. I'm in an OtterBox, so it doesn't get much bigger than that. I mean, that's one of the biggest phones, and it fits in there great, and it holds it well. I position it on my left where I can see it while I'm racing. I want a place to put my iPhone when I race, and I want to be able to see it while I'm racing. So this gives you that opportunity. It's a great place to mount your phone. It's not cheap, $60, but I think it's worth it.
Mike, what do you have running on the iPhone when you race?
Nothing. I'm just looking, is my wife texting me, or am I missing something on the TikTok during caution? Yeah, during caution, I'm usually on my phone, to be honest.
Yeah.
Checking Twitter.
Is that why you ran into me under caution that last time?
Probably. I'm usually like buried in my phone but I have it positioned where it's right at pointing at my face, so the Face ID it unlocks it and everything, and it's just very easily accessible with this mount.
That's why we know he doesn't saving fuel under caution, David. He's too busy in his phone.
Doesn't save fuel, doesn't save tires. The one thing he saves is practice time.
Hey, he practiced a bunch of laps the other night for the Roval.
I did.
All right, next up we have the Thrustmaster 488 GT3, and they're taking pre-orders for it. It's a Ferrari one branded, and they call it an add-on, which I'm wondering why they call it an add-on. It's a rim. Maybe that's just the terminology they're trying to
They
use.
don't have very many options.
Yeah.
They have an oval and they have another Ferrari rim. I think the other one's a Ferrari as well.
$250.
Not a terrible price. Not a terrible wheel. It doesn't.
A replica.
Yeah. I can't see the back.
How come when you put a Ferrari name on a Thrustmaster thing, it doesn't seem to be really expensive, but for some reason, if you put BMW or Bentley on a Fanatec rim, it becomes astronomically expensive for something that's not.
I wonder if the license fee is based on the price of the product.
Like a
Like-
percent.
Like maybe the company expects a percentage. So the higher the wheel, the more of an overcharge that's going to be.
If I'm guessing with this one of these rims too, since it's Thrustmaster, I'm guessing it's console. It's able to work on consoles as well for playing Xbox or PlayStation.
All right. Next up, we have Six Sigma Sim Racing, which has a new warehouse in Syracuse, New York, for faster shipping to the U.S. customers.
They ship within 3 days. You know, John, I sent you this because we were talking about buying rigs from Sim Labs out of Finland, and we were talking about buying or Micro Center. If you have a Micro Center near you, you can get Sim Lab. We also talked about Advanced Sim Racing out of Canada, but they offer free shipping to the U.S. But I think, we forget about companies like this. I mean, Six Sigma, we don't talk about them a lot on this show, but they have a great product here. The one they show on the screen here has motion and slip and everything. D-box style. I mean, it's crazy, but I mean, you can get something a little toned down from them, I'm sure as well.
Well, you can. Now, I went on their website. They've got free shipping out of their New York site. They've got some really good rigs, good seats, and I'm giving those guys serious consideration.
I like that black and yellow look.
I don't know why I always think
Yeah,
of
that's neat.
space exploration whenever I see a D-box unit.
Because it looks like a moon lander.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I look at these cockpits, John, the one thing I see kind of missing is a crossbar to put your shifter on. That comes across from the upright and back down next to the seat. A place to put a mouse or a shifter or something. I mean, that's the one thing this is missing that some other rigs do have.
Yeah, and when you're looking for a rig like I am, you have to keep in mind those little extras.
It's
Because-
a $125 addition.
Yeah,
Oh,
you
you
can
can
get
add it.
those, but your cost is going to go up, and you want to make sure you've got all those little extras on there. You want the seat slider, you want all the mounts that you're going to have, so you got to take that in consideration.
All right. Dave Cam shows us a video on how to use the Govee for ambient lighting. And this is always kind of your department, Mike.
And he calls it ambient lighting on the cheap. And what he's referring to is my system and how much it costs with the Philips Hue. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different bulbs and a hub and all that. And I probably have $400 into this thing. Well, you can get these other lighting instruments from Amazon called Govee, Govee. I've actually never heard of Govee, but Dave Cam had some Govee lights. He just used them as backsplash, for his videos. Just put them on a color and left it. But he said that a listener or somebody, a viewer from one of his on his channel, turned him on to a different video on YouTube of another guy who figured out how to get these Govee lights working with ambient lighting. And basically, guess what? SimHub software has the capability of doing this. And so Dave basically walks you through how to set up the Govee lights with the SimHub software and give you this ambient lighting on the cheap. Brilliant. Now, if I had known about Govee before when I did this project, I probably would have picked it just because of the cost difference. With the Philips Hue stuff, it is so expensive. And so if you can do it for half the price, man, I can't recommend enough. Everyone do some ambient lighting. It really is a neat effect.
All right, we got time to hit one more that looks kind of time sensitive, or at least one I definitely want to see us hit. Matt Barnett has about a 15-minute video covering what he considers the top 5 apps in iRacing.
Yeah, so and I wrote them down, and there's links for them on the script. So trading paints, number 1. You got to see what other people's paints are, right?
I use that one, of course.
Number 2. Yeah,
I use that
Crew
one.
Chief. I mean, Crew Chief is for me is a second Crew Chief in my ear. I actually run the Sim Crew Chief spotter and the Crew Chief spotter, both of them, and they're both really low volume. But one always provides more information than the other, and sometimes it's the built-in one gives more information. I just like having the most information, so I can't recommend Crew Chief enough. It's a free app.
I originally got Crew Chief for the ability to do a lot of pit management with voice, right? Most of that is handled through my button boxes and JRT now, which kind of is a little bit more accurate than Crew Chief. But I still have the spotter running, and particularly I like that Crew Chief will tell you where incidents are, especially when you're running road courses. It'll call out the corner where the incident is, and if you're close to that, to watch out. And I do leave both spotters on just like you do, but I do have the iRacing spotter turned to minimum chattiness, so I pretty much don't get a whole lot of the other information from the Crew Chief. I just hear the spotter. And if we're at Talladega, I turn the Crew Chief spotter off because they will constantly say still there, still there, still there, still there, still there, just nonstop, and it gets pretty annoying. So I turn that one off and rely more on the visual spotter in that case. But so it's a very good app.
Yeah, some of the custom calls you'll hear is like dryling is off in the first chicane. Like they'll tell you who it is, where they went off on the track, and you kind of hear that and it. It's kind of cool.
Crew Chief will tell you if you're closing on the people in front of you or behind you, right? It'll warn you ahead of time when faster cars are catching you from a different class, or if you're catching the slow class when you're doing multi-class.
The next one was Race Lab, which is like overlays and stuff.
They have some of the best overlays that I've come across.
So you're actively using Race Labs?
Because I haven't raced much recently. I kind of I don't do the subscription anymore because it's also subscription based for the majority of the better things.
So teammate Tyler Williamson told me the other day that he actually stopped his subscription with RaceLab. Apparently, they have some kind of billing issues where they charged everybody inadvertently that were signed up, and then they credited them. And then he said his wife was seeing these little charges from Race Labs on the credit card, like for a few pennies, and then it would be credited. And so Tyler said something's real sketchy with the billing with Race Labs, so he opted out actually.
Well, anytime you see a penny charge that stays on there, they're supposed to usually come off, but that's how a lot of sites and even hotels actually just test to see if your car is valid when they're not going to know what to charge at first. So it'll pop up as a 1 cent charge that gets refunded later.
Yeah, I think that's a random issue. I did see the reports on that, but I use it and have never had that issue. So I don't know why. Uh, just certain people get it and some don't, but I do use that app.
Okay. The next one was VRS telemetry. I've actually never tried this. I know, David, you used to use it.
I still do some. I don't really have it active right now because I've not been doing any road racing. It's really handy if you're looking at your telemetry and comparing it to other people's. And I learned a lot with it, specifically about how to manage the brake on the tracks, and also how to manage to make sure I'm hitting the apexes and positioning the car in the right place. And it's a little bit more valuable on the roadside. The way it's laid out, it's really hard to use for me if I'm trying to tweak a road. I mean, an oval setup. The ride height stuff is just hard as hell to read.
The next one was iRacing Manager. This is a free software from the forums that helps you start up all your third-party apps with one click. Now, I actually use a different one from the forums that's free called iRacer Assistant, and it does the same thing. And I do highly recommend that. You can program it to basically, like I said, launch everything with one button. It really speeds up your load in when you're trying to get into a race. The final item was Coach Dave Academy, and I do not know anything about this actually either. It's some kind of coaching deal.
And isn't that 6 links?
Yeah, it is. And the video was called Top 5. All right, let's jump into results. We're going to talk the NASCAR iRacing series and finish up Talladega. Thursday fixed. It was Justin. He said he was in the mix for the win, but didn't have the push. Brad Wren, his wheel disconnected. We actually heard from Brad today. He's been having USB disconnections on the wheel. He has a Sim Magic, I think. And so we gave him a bunch of ideas to try to fix it, but it turns out he's actually returning the wheel to the manufacturer for repair. So he's going to be out for a couple weeks. Friday Open, I ran. I was near the front on the inside lane, was trying to side draft up, and I got a little bit of damage, and I was in the first caution. Lap 11, I was pushing the leader on the bottom. The guy behind me started pushing me and turned me. 2.5 minutes damage. Eventually caught a caution, took a wave around, but needed a yellow to get enough fuel to finish. Finally got that yellow with 3 to go. Put me in the back after fueling for P23 for the green-white checker number 1. I wrecked coming to the checker P27. Horrible race. David, P14.
Yeah, I wasn't the best on the fuel strategy, and then I got flushed out of the draft by a huge checkup right when I made a lane change. And so I went ahead and pitted right when that happened because I was in the window and was able to catch the draft as they came back around. And then when it all cycled around, I was back with the lead pack. But then later I made a late move and turned myself across somebody's road. Then I turned across the nose and trying to get back up to speed, I spun the tires, and that brought out the caution. And I got falsely accused of doing it on purpose. And I did not. I did not. Just, the tires just spun out. You saw the replay.
I did. I watched your replay after the race on that. Look, the car gets high centered on the banking between the apron and the angle of the banking. And that's what happened with you. It's not, I mean, you were trying to get turned around and get going again. That's all it was. That's all I saw.
Well,
So, David, let's talk strategy for a second because I was in your race and I see you. Now, I already had lost the draft, and then I see you lose the draft. And then I'm thinking, oh my God, he's pitting. Is he smoking crack? He's pitting by himself under green. He's going to pull out and be all by himself. He's going to be a lap down. How will he ever recover from this? But somehow it worked out. I couldn't believe it.
well, I only needed I didn't have to take. I still had half a tank of gas, so it was only going to be a 2-tire stop, right? So I knew I was going to get back out before the lead pack came back around, and I was able to get back out because it was a short pit stop, and I stayed low, refused to go high, and it made it really easy to catch the lead pack. And then I was able to stay out while everybody else pitted and stay in the draft. And so as it cycled, I was and I was going to have to pit by myself again, but it would have if I had not turned down to try to get in line too late. I would have again short pitted and still been able to catch most of the lead pack. So
Surprised it worked out.
I don't. Well, this is why you should always listen to me on the strategy calls, right?
Well, look, I would have never picked to do that. So that's why I was a little shocked, but it worked out. I mean, at the end, you were still in the pack. So, all right, Tyler Williamson, he got a P4, started P1 and had only one caution on lap 3, led the first 20 laps after giving up the lead to save gas, was able to stay with the main pack during 2 green flag stops to bring it home 4th. Lappers screwed me on the last lap, but happy with the top 5 and 0 X's. Tyler was pained to give up that lead, but he knew he had to because he was using way more fuel than everybody else around him. And I could feel the pain in his voice when he said, I'm pulling over. Moving on, Sunday Open, David, P20.
Yeah, this was a case where a lot of us were going to pit under green flag stops, but not every one of them got down in time. And so they all decided to wait, and I should have paid more attention and went ahead and pitted and just hung myself out basically on green flag stops and never got back with the lead pack.
All right, Sunday fixed. I ran for some glory, and I got P4. I got spun twice, but no damage, really. I led some laps at the end. There was just a top 7 breakaway, and I was 6th. We did mix it up, but I didn't make very good moves. I got to P4. I'll take it. All right, moving on to Wednesday Open Roval at Charlotte. I got a nice P7. Got as high as P5, but had a slip, fell back to 8th. I missed the final chicane maybe 4 or 5 times, but ended up bringing it home 7th. Pretty proud of this run. I was car number 34. Tom was in my split. He got a P9, 2 positions behind me. I only gained 5 points on him in the championship for those 2 spots. Now, what was interesting is on the results, it showed a 5-point difference, but when we went and looked at the actual points as they run for the season, I gained 18 points or something. And so it has something to do with the drop weeks. So what I'm trying to say is with the drop weeks, we really don't, I mean, we haven't done the math. I haven't pulled up all the results and tried to figure it out, but it's unknown just how many points I'm going to gain or lose on Tom, because of drops.
And
Right.
it really is. It's hard to track. And I remember when Derek Lemke was running making his run on Road to Pro, they were able to they sent me on Discord a link of the actual spreadsheet showing the points and how he got in by like 2 points. I think there was a drop week that was involved in that as well, and it was somehow calculating that. So you'd probably have to have all of your finishes in, and kind of see which ones are going to get dropped, and do some fancy mathing to really figure it out.
Well, I'm having fun with it. Chris Waldron ran. He got a P6. Good safe run, he said. I want to point out that Chris, God bless him, he's 650 iRating on road. That's it. So he's definitely bottom split. So what did we tell him before the race? Dude, keep it on the pavement. You're going to get a top 10 easy. And that's what happened. And he was laps down, but he got the finish. So well done, Chris. That's how you're going to get good at road, is just getting out there and put yourself into these spots, get into the event, run it, try not to wreck. So with that being said, Greg, you wrecked out in top split.
Yeah, so through the infield section, I hit the outside wall just before you come onto the banking, before you, like that, you're coming to the outside, then you come back down towards the inner wall to go up onto the banking. I touched the wall a little too hard and it broke something in the steering, and I had no steering, and I went back down to the inside wall, and I collected the guy behind me. He called me some name, like I was saying earlier on the chat, and I just apologized to him. I was like, hey, look, I'm sorry, I had no steering, and I was nothing I could do. I was trying to get out of the way, and I couldn't do anything. I couldn't stop. I couldn't at all. So I don't know if it diffused the situation or not. But there's not much you can do when those toe link break.
And then Brad Wren was back running with us in great fashion, and he got a little taste of how NIS is. He was run off the course, and then he got dropped by the server. He never got dropped from Discord, but iRacing dropped him P32. He was not a happy camper. All right, Thursday Open, I ran again. I was car number 35, top split. What did I think I got 16th. Wasn't a great race. I basically I showed you guys the videos in the chat. There was a guy slower than me, and I was trying to get by him. I was up alongside of him, and we touched, and he got spun. And then a few laps later, the same thing happened to me. Some guy was trying to get around me. He got to the side of me, and I kind of turned off his nose is what happened. I ended up spun around. I had to wait for all the traffic to go by before pulling onto the track because I didn't want to get protested. So I was real careful about that. And I fell back to 23rd, but I think I made my way back up to actually 13th. I think that's what it was I finished. Other racing I ran, FIA F4, the regional at Interlago, Brazil. Started 21st, got wrecked in the first lap on a pileup. I got the worst of it, dead last at 23rd, but I made my way back up to 16th. The next race, I started near the back, but I still got ran over on lap 1, turn 1, from behind, from somebody who was dead last. So I got spun. I worked my way back up to be 9th out of 14th. Then I ran Draft Master. John was like, it's the 87 cars. I'm thinking, man, I wonder if I can farm another 1,000 iRating. So I decided to try it. 87s at Daytona. It was top split. I got involved in a couple of incidents and brought it home P9. Didn't run as well as I hoped, so no, I will not be farming in the Draft Master this week. I did run 3 or 4 Chris McGuire hosted races. No finishes, wrecked out of each one. And with that, let's jump to final thoughts. David Hall.
Well, you heard about that falsely accusing crap, and iRacing didn't agree with me, and I think they're well, in the reply I got from iRacing, they basically admitted to their bias, and because I've had a lot of interactions with them, because I don't take crap off of bullies. So, but they let the bad guys do whatever the hell they want and just punish the wrong people. So that's my opinion. I'm actually quite pissed right now.
All right. Sorry to hear about that. Hope it works out well for you. Greg Hectus, final thoughts.
Just kind of pissed that I took myself out of a good car, good run the other night, just pushing it too hard. So hopefully we'll try again Friday night and probably Sunday morning and see what we can do. But Roval's the last road course of the season, and probably not my favorite road course, but I have a good rhythm there. So something about this car and road courses agree with me. So we'll go and do it again Friday and Sunday morning.
Right. And special guest John Curley, thanks for joining us on the team and the show. What are your final thoughts?
Well, thanks for having me on. And my goal is, improve that racecraft, get better at everything I do. And you guys have been a big help, listening to the team and just realizing, the camaraderie that you built up is awesome. And I just want to learn. And that's what I'm going to keep doing, keep positive attitude and run races. Go for it.
All right. Yeah, we're happy to have you. Welcome. My final thoughts, man, I kind of wish I won at Talladega. That's probably my best chance to win for the rest of the season. But yeah, we're moving on to the Roval. I got a P7. That was some pretty good points. I hope I can top it tomorrow night. Boy, I need some points. This thing with Tom has been a blast. Lots of times we're ending up in the same split, racing each other. He's following me, I'm following him. So it's been a lot of fun. I've had fun with the FIA F4. If I can just get past turn one, lap one, it's fun. But getting wrecked out at the beginning of these things is getting a little old. We're going to try it again tonight after dinner. I'm going to jump on and run at least a couple of attempts and see if we can get it. And with that, hey, we'll see you on the track later. All right, title ideas. John, they're at the bottom of the Google Doc. We have 5 to choose from. Let's vote.
Well,
I like number 2.